Hello everyone, here is Muhammad again. Today is our second session. So to do a quick recap, in the first video, we talked about the main shapes, the basic shapes of drawing, how to start drawing, and how to build an object, and what an object is constructed of, and so on. So today we are going to talk about these shapes as well, taking few examples, maybe a little bit more complex examples based on these shapes. So as we talked in the last session, we have the basic shapes, line or curve, and let's take the first example. So the first example we can take, for example, like a cup. So a cup, we can start with an oval, then a rectangle, like this. It's kind of like triangle, because if you imagine it, if you imagine it this way, it could be a triangle, right? If you break it down, if you break it down to the main shapes that this cup is constructed of, is actually three shapes: the oval, the triangle, and again an oval. So 1, 2, and 3, right? So we have our first oval, then from this triangle we have our sides, the cup sides, the right and the left, and we have the bottom part, which is again an oval, but of course only the front part is visible for us. And if we want to draw the hand quickly for the cup, we can take also an oval, very simple shape, another oval on top of it, and as you see, I automatically and quickly started to have my own cup hands, because I started first to draw the first oval, then the second oval on top of it, and it automatically gives me the cup hand, as you see here. So if I darken it a little bit, of course I'm not gonna start shading it or talk about lighting. This is for different session. Of course I'm gonna talk about lighting and shading in different session, but today this is not our topic that we are going to cover. But as you see, so I started with the oval, triangle, and oval again, and it automatically gives us what we need. Let's take another example. Another example will be, for example, a lamp, like very simple lamp. So lamp, if we like break it down very simple, in a very simple way, so it looks like this approximately, right? But let's try to draw a proper lamp based on the shape that we discussed in today's session and in the last session. So a lamp, if you break it down, it's actually contains very simple shapes. The first one is actually the circle, right? And don't be afraid to draw different lines. It's totally okay. So if you feel okay, your circle isn't looking that good, you can draw another one until you are satisfied, which is totally fine, right? So we have our circle, and the lamp also, if you draw like a help line in the middle, that helps you to check the lamp if it's really symmetrical or not, because it should be symmetrical, right? So we have the circle, and the second shape is actually very simple rectangle. So we are breaking the lamp down to the very basic shapes. So we have a circle, we have the rectangle, and we have again small rectangle. So we have three shapes, 1, 2, and 3. So after having these three shapes, as you see here, we have the basic shape of the lamp. Now we can deep dive into details by adding more details. For example, we can add a curve here on the left, on the right, and on the left side. We can add a curve here at the bottom. As you see, by adding these two very simple curves, we kind of like have the bottom part of the lamp, right? It's very simple. Once you break it down and analyze it, it becomes much easier. So, as you know, the lamp has also these kind of like circle shapes, you know? So in order to get this, we can try to draw an oval, again an oval, again an oval. So 3 ovals, which actually gives us the first curve, the second curve, and the third curve. And if I want to deep dive more into details, I can do that by actually adding a small curve, again small curve, small curve, and again, and the last one on the bottom part, which actually gives us automatically the very proper, accurate bottom part of the lamp. And the same applies for this one. For the small rectangle we drew at the bottom part, we can round it a little bit. Maybe we can add a smaller one as well, and so on. And inside the lamp, if you want to deep dive in details more, we can, of course. We kind of like have this kind of shape, right? But to get it, we can start with a triangle, which is this one, 1, 2, 3, and you can highlight the right and the left line, which automatically gives you what we need for inside the lamp, this wire. So, and this wire actually has this kind of line, sorry. So as you see, starting from the very basic shapes that we discussed and review here, we kind of like have very nice lamp with all components inside and outside of the lamp, this circle and these wires. So let's take another example. Another example for today's session will be, for example, a teapot. So teapot has way two different shapes, right? But let's take like very simple one. For example, we can start with a circle one, with the shape of circle. Now we have the circle. Then we can add the cover or the top part of it by drawing an oval. So we have now an oval and a circle, right? And again, we can draw a rectangle and a sphere. So as you see, we have kind of like the main shape of the teapot. So what's still missing is actually the mouth part. Sorry. And for that we can draw an oval again. As you see, as it doesn't matter how complex your shape or your object is, it always becomes easier when you try to break it down into basic shapes and start from there. Because if I want to start drawing the teapot like this, it becomes very difficult to follow, you know, like for example this, and so on. It becomes much more difficult if you don't break it down from the very beginning, you know. So now we have, going back to our example, now we have this, the circle, the oval, rectangle, and circle, and again an oval. Then we can draw now an oval again, small oval, and smaller oval. So as you see, we kind of like have different shapes and different sizes of different ovals. So we can now try to connect these lines together which gives us this part of teapot. And now we can kind of like highlight the lines or the outer lines to expose the teapot a little bit. As you see here. And the teapot needs also the hand. I can also start again with an oval, with one, and again one on top of it, which actually gives us this shape. So this is the first one, and this is the second one. Once I connect these lines, it becomes much easier to follow. We can again add some more details, like by making another line here, or maybe another line on the top part, or on this part, and so on and so on. So let's take maybe the last example in our today's session. So we can take let me think about it. Like a candle. Let's try to make a candle. Candle, it has this kind of like cylinder shape, right? So if we start with a candle, the candle, if you like try to break it down into very simple shapes, it has like this kind of shapes, right? It's very cylindrical. So to start with it, we can start again with an oval, a rectangle, and again an oval at the very bottom. So as you see, and as we always saw in this session, so we have three main shapes. The first shape is the oval, the second shape is the rectangle, and the third shape is again an oval. So moving from these shapes, we can now try to add some more details, because the candle kind of like is melting, you know, it's not like a very hard line as you see here, but we can maybe fantasize it a little bit and draw like this. Randomly is fully okay, because we are drawing a candle, right? And candle has this kind of randomness in its shape. So we can maybe try to draw this kind of line, maybe a little bit exaggerated. Maybe we can just remove this line just a little bit. As you see, now we have something. And we move on with our random lines to the bottom part, of the candle, and we connect our circle like this. And the candle has again this part. And if you want to draw the flame, you can also again start with very simple shape, which is a circle and triangle. So we have circle and triangle. Now we have kind of like the very basic shape of the flame. Now we can start to add some more details. to make it like our line a little bit random. Go up, and so on and so on. We can add another one inside of it, another one, and another one. So as you see, these examples were not too complex, but again were also not so easy, because if you would have thought about it, okay, I want to draw a teapot, you might have thought, okay, it might be complex, but as you saw, it's not that as complex as you think, only if you break it down to these basic shapes. And the skill, you will have the skill, I'm sure, because everyone can do that, once you learn how to see the object properly and correctly. Once you see it and try to analyze it and break it down into these shapes, then you can draw anything. And remember, anyone can draw. So thank you very much for watching, and yeah, see you in the next video.